Welcome to another episode of My Soul Connection. I'm your host, Billy K. Cavert. You guys are in for such a treat with today's episode. I had a conversation with a guy whose energy is so infectious and provides us a powerful reminder of what happens when we listen to our intuition and we say yes to the path that excites us, even when it feels uncertain. I'm joined by record-setting adventurer Cyril Derreumaux, who's a world record ocean paddler who shares his extraordinary journey of solo ocean crossings, deep spiritual connections with nature, and the lessons that he learned along the way through fear, failure, and resilience. Cyril is best known for his extraordinary expeditions, including solo kayak crossings across both the Atlantic and the Pacific. But what inspires me most about him isn't just the physical feats that he's accomplished, it's the journey behind them. His adventures have become a doorway into deeper presence, trust, resilience, and an intimate connection with his soul and with something greater than himself. Through his stories, Cyril invites us to listen to our own vibrational energy, to face our fears with honesty, and to go after our dreams. I'm so excited to share Cyril's inner landscape behind his outer adventures and the wisdom that he's gained along the way. So without further ado, please enjoy this conversation with Cyril Derreumaux. Cyril, welcome to My Soul Connection. Thank you so much for joining. I know you're a busy man these days, and I really appreciate the time that you're giving me.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Thank you. Yeah, I have to tell you, I am more excited than normal to talk to you because I have had some good guests. They've all been great guests. But none that have inspired me quite like you have as I learned about your background leading up to this. I have to give a quick shout out to our mutual friend, Garrett, who connected us. He knows what this podcast is all about, and I think he thought you'd be a great fit. Hearing your story as I was doing the research for this podcast, I just had a fire lit in me, and I was really excited to explore this. So thank you so much.
Do it.
All right. Yeah. And I have to say your energy is infectious, and I'm so excited for the audience to see that too. So a little bit of background that I discovered about you. First of all, I don't know if you would describe yourself this way, but you're definitely an adventurous man. You've done some really unique things in a short amount of time. Actually, I think your whole life has been interesting and adventurous, but in particular, these kayaking adventures that you've done back in 2016, I know you did the Great Pacific Race, which was 4 men in one boat for 39 days. I don't know how you spend that much time with 3 other people without killing them. I'm sure there's some stories there. But you guys set a Guinness Book of World Records for speed on that adventure, which is amazing. And then in 2022, you did a solo Pacific Ocean kayak crossing, and you were the first person to cross solo from California to Hawaii. And after that, in March just of this year, March of 2025, you finished one that was across the Atlantic and became the first person, unsupported, human-powered solo kayaking crossing of the Atlantic, and the first person to do both the Pacific and the Atlantic. So some amazing feats. There's a long list of other things you've done, by the way, too, I know, but there's only so much time we can go through those. So with that said, I want to dive in a little bit first to why I thought you'd be such a good fit for the show, because I think the background's important for you to understand. My Soul Connection was really born from me living the first 40 years of my life in kind of some subconscious patterns. I had it all from the outside. My life looked pretty picture perfect, but really I was pretty miserable inside. I was unhappy. I was unfulfilled. And I had sort of a spiritual awakening around the age of 40. And ever since then, I've just fully awakened and come alive and seen where all those subconscious patterns are coming from. And I've worked through that. And I've gone through that healing process. And part of this, of the podcast so far, has been sharing those stories with people and helping them to uncover their own intuition, find ways to find it for themselves, and get out of that and start following their intuition. So that's why your story was really inspiring to me, because I think we're about the same age. I'm 49 now, and I'm ready to take all the healings behind me. Not that there's nothing more that could be uncovered, but I'm ready to go full force into life now and be very intentional about the way I live life and find more excitement and adventure in my own life. So with that said, and with the background that I just shared, tell me a little bit more about yourself and your upbringing and how you actually got to the point of living the way that you live now, which is so unique.
Right. So I think I'm a dreamer doer. Okay. I think just being a dreamer wouldn't be enough, because then you wouldn't do anything. But converting dreams into action is, I guess, my strength, where I get carried by that energy that comes with dreaming and saying, what if I could do this? And the vibration that comes with making me feel alive of accomplishing those things. And I just go do them. It doesn't really matter if they're accomplished exactly like I pictured them in the first place, or if it's up to the standard that one could imagine. I just want to do them. I want to feel them for myself. I am not satisfied by reading other people doing it, whatever it is, right? And I guess I just want to experience, I guess, in a way, like life and what it brings me, in terms of experience and learnings and teachable moments. So I just go after what makes me vibrate. And I think I've been like this since I was a kid. I was lucky to be in a really strong family, with very good parents and 5 kids,
Mm.
and very normal, kind of boring, routine life until I kind of spread my wings and started to travel overseas and lived overseas, in many different countries. I speak several languages, but I've lived in South America and Europe, and I ended up in America where I had never kayaked when I moved here. I was 32 years old. And that infectious energy that there's in California about, you want to do this? Why not? Go for it. I love it. It was perfect for me. It
Well,
was.
I think you must have met the right people at the right time in your life because I've lived in California my whole life and I've experienced a little bit of that, but not to the level that you have. So that's why I want to absorb some of this
I
from
do
you.
believe that you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Something I heard a long time ago, and I really, I believe that's true. If you're surrounded by people that are driven and say, "Okay, let's go mountain bike in the dark on Mount Tamalpais." What? Okay, let's do it. I mean,
Why not?
let's go surf, let's go to ski, and then we'll go swim in the bay the same day. Let's do it. That could be fun. If you're surrounded by these kind of people, you're gonna do that.
That's true.
So, yeah, I think there's some intentional, action on this part. But yeah, essentially, I came here and started to kayak and longer races until there's always something a little bit push my own limits. I like to kind of push my own boundaries of comfort and go outside my comfort zone, right? So that
Mhm.
I discover new things about me, about the world, about spirituality, about people, and by doing this, I guess you feel like you're enhance your own life, and then you can share it. And I really
Mhm.
like what your podcast is. You've discovered something in life that you want to share, and somebody's gonna have to listen to that message, and you're gonna change lives. Amazing.
Well, I hope so and hope to continue changing my own at the same time. But going back to your childhood, you said it was pretty routine, pretty stable. You had a good family and all that. But when you look back, was there like a spark in you that you just knew you would always be like an adventurous, free spirit? Or did that just kind of naturally come a little bit later in life?
But yeah, I guess you're the sums of all the choices you make,
Hmm.
and I guess international traveling or living overseas or learning languages was what drove me, like, to be happy. So
Hmm.
I guess I did international studies in Europe. I got a master's in international business. So I was a year in England, a year in Spain, a year in Paris, and then I was 25. I did a trip around the world backpacking for
Yeah, I wanted to
7,000.
ask you about that. Yeah.
1 year of backpacking for 7 grand. It's
Mm.
nothing. It was the best year.
No,
And then
that's amazing. Yeah.
yeah, and then I moved to well, I was in Italy for a year, and then I moved to Argentina for 2 years, and in Brazil for 6 months, and then I just led my well, the opportunity came, and then I guess whatever excited me, I was going for it. When I moved to Brazil, I guess I wasn't really to work right away. I just wanted to experience life, and I taught English and played a lot of soccer, and then it was a blast. And then
Hmm.
something else brought me to come to America. I worked in the wine business for 12 years, so that's why I moved to Sonoma.
Hmm. Okay.
In San Jose for 6 years, and then I moved down to the Bay Area. And yeah, you just I just followed what make me vibrate. It's as simple as this. And I invite people to do the same. Some people tell me I don't know what my passion, and you're a kayaker. I don't know I'm a kayaker. I mean, I like it. I love it. I do it again and again because I love it. But whatever makes you vibrate, just do more of that.
So is that really where your intuition coming from, or where you feel your intuition? Something gets you excited, you have this vibration energy, and then you just decide to follow it and see where it takes you?
Yes. There's
That's
this
awesome.
saying that I like is act on your highest excitement to the best of your ability with no insistence on the outcome. So it means a lot where something makes, like if you have to decide between two things, one thing excites you a little bit more than the other, I think you should go with that. Just because the vibration, the energy that you're going to carry with you is going to make it a difference. Now, if you do it to the best of your ability, you do as good as you can, whether you succeed or not. And I think it goes really back to the first thing that I said at this podcast is like, it doesn't really matter if your expectations are met or not. Uh, don't insist on a particular outcome. I guess following that vibration just makes you uh, like feel better. And then in the end, it comes down to a better result no matter what.
Right. No, that's great. And you've brought up a point that I've learned along the way, that having expectations is not always the best thing, because you you set your sights on an outcome that may or may not be possible, and then you're going to be left with disappointment, as opposed to just following your gut, following, like you said, the passion, the fire that's in you, and seeing how it turns out, and knowing that that's the right path regardless, because you're on it. I mean, if it lit you up and you followed it, it was there for a reason, and it could lead to something else down the road that you hadn't even ever considered anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a combination of being highly excitable
Mhm.
for a project and so all in, but at the same time, not giving a fuck about the result. Excuse my
Right.
French.
Oh, I
You,
use it all the time. Yeah.
like you're so passionate about your podcast, whether it's successful or not. Like, what is the definition of success? It's the teaching that you're going to learn is going to be enough. Maybe you're going to touch one person. That's going to be enough. Like having thousands of followers, who cares, right? So you don't care about the result, but you pour your heart into it, and that's enough. So highly excitable, not caring about the result. That's the
Right.
secret sauce.
Yeah, that's absolutely spot on. I was actually just telling a friend 2 weeks ago after I published my last podcast. I said, it wasn't my best performance. I was really concerned about putting it out there because my lighting was off, and I was fumbling a little bit, and I thought, you know what though, it's an important enough topic. I want to get it out there. So it's not perfect. I'm not here to perform anyway. I'm actually here to share a message. And that was the podcast that I got most people coming back to me, giving me positive feedback about how much this has shifted their perspective and what they want to do about it in the new year. And it really had an impact on people. So that was my little ping from the universe that this is how you do it. You don't do it for the performance or the numbers. You do it because you really feel passionate about the topic or the work itself.
You define yourself what success is, right?
Right.
And just put it on the right cursors. Um, in the end, I mean, who knows what's going to happen in the future? Maybe somebody 10 years from now is going to say, wow, look at how you started, the quality of your podcast. And then look, 10 years later, you're such a pro. And then you could see how, the incremental quality is going up and up. You have to start somewhere. And then maybe in 10 years, somebody's going to hire you because they have a TV show they want you to do. Who knows? Maybe you want to write a book. You're going to be maybe it's
Right.
not gonna go anywhere, but you gotta be so strong about your self-belief that then that was a learning. So follow your heart. That's all it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, and I think those kind of what we talked about a second ago, was setting the expectations can actually limit you from all of those potential outcomes, because you're just so focused on this particular outcome. So that's a great advice to follow. Going back to when you moved out to California, how old did you say you were when you moved to California?
32? Yeah,
32.
I'm 40.
Okay. And that's when you sort of started the kayaking and the canoeing, right? You weren't doing it before that time?
No, I never kayaked before. This friend of mine from Santa Rosa, his name is Tevita, he's from Fiji. He invited me. He says, Cyril, we gotta go. It's outrigger canoe. It's from Polynesia. There's a bunch of people from Hawaii. It's gonna be fun. Let's go. So we drove down to the Golden Gate, and right at the foot of the Golden Gate, there's Port Baker in Sausalito.
Mhm.
And ran on the boat once, twice, and loved it. And I said, let's go again. And the first one was a race, 15 miles as a beginner, like the newbies. And I loved it. And then
That
after the
was your
next one,
first outing, was a race?
no, 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 we went
Oh,
for,
okay.
then I loved the first race, right?
Gotcha,
Uh,
okay.
and the fact that you're with other 5 people on the boat and they motivate you, it's like a team. And you're on the water, on the ocean, under the Golden Gate. It's fantastic. Like, I just loved it. So then, okay, there's a race in Hawaii. It's called the Molokai Hoi. It's 40 miles. Let's train for this. Okay, let's do it. And then little by little, it's just excitement. And there's this thing I love to say. It's doing cool stuff with cool people in cool places.
I
And
love
if you
that.
have those three, let's go,
Yeah, can't lose, right?
And yeah, exactly. Cool stuff with cool people in cool places.
That's awesome. And I read somewhere, I think it was one of your blogs or something, that you talked about being shameless for your dream and asking people bluntly for help. And I'm really curious, how did you find the courage to do that? And how has it served you with some of your bigger adventures?
Well, I think people can feel the energy that you carry with you, right? And okay, let's say you need, let's say, 3 grand. Okay, you want to do this race up in Canada, and it's going to take 2 weeks. You're going to be training, and you got to raise the money because you don't want to take the money from the family or from the house or whatever, right? So it has to be extra money. But if you're shameless for your dream, you're going to say, "Look, I want to make so many cakes. I want people to come and buy some cakes." You can say, "I'm not going to do that. I want to bake for." Just do it. People are going to feel your energy. What do you do this, by the way? Oh, you want to do this adventure, and you want to talk to schools about following your dreams, and you're going to train for that. They're going to follow you, train. People are going to feel the energy, and no
Mhm.
matter what you do, people will back you up, right? And if you're a kid, 20-year-old, you want to go around the world and you need to raise money, do that. Like, show your passion, be shameless, and then it's going to happen. If you're shameful about anything you do, like, I don't know, I don't like any doubt, people will feel it.
Yes, there's something about that level of confidence and passion that comes through. People want to support that. And I think at some level, they're probably living vicariously through you too, because they're like, oh man, I'm stuck at my 9 to 5 job while he's out there doing this cool race. I want to see what he's made of. So yeah, I get it. And as somebody who's a beginner in terms of like this new world of podcasting and some of the things that I'm trying to do with my life now, I can understand how, or actually, I guess I want to find out how you've balanced, or how you used to balance having a beginner's mind and being a novice at something with having bold ambition to go out and do something huge. I mean, you did a major ocean crossing on your own. That is huge. How do you balance the two things, being a beginner and then going after something so big?
So it didn't happen overnight, right? It took me 10 years to go from a beginner to thinking I could cross an ocean alone, which is actually very short time. 10
That's
years
what
is
I thought.
not
Right.
like you start guitar, 10 years later you do concert in in front of 200,000 people. Like, it's crazy, right? So I think it's just incremental steps that where you pass thresholds of confidence, and then you say, okay, what's the next one? Pushing your own limits. If you had told me that I would do that, as I began kayaking, I would never believe you, right? Obviously
Mhm.
not. Um, but but again, if you follow your passion, then the next goal is going to be hard to achieve, but then it's going to be attainable, right? The first race I did was 15 miles, and then the next one was 40. Next one was 100, and the next one was 450, until I said, okay, well, I've done rivers, I've done lakes, I've done coastal. How about this one? It's rowing. It's not kayaking. I don't know about rowing. I'm going to learn rowing, but it's crossing an ocean with a team. I've never been overseas out of the open ocean, but if
Mhm.
I do with race, and then I'm going to learn. I'm going to learn about survival at sea, about navigation at sea, about all this stuff. But I'll be part of the team. Okay, I think I can do that. How do I train for this? I got 2 years, and push that. And then I did this. It felt amazing. Okay, what if I were to do that alone? Can I do that in a kayak instead of a rowing boat? That's going to be different. Like, how many people have done it? Who's done it? I'm going to call them. And then, little by little, then you build up that ability to think, I can do this.
Mhm.
And then not thinking, but believe it to your core. And then you try and you fail. And then you try again, or you say, how can I train better? And then you raise the bar slowly to the point where you know to your core that you can do it. And then you actually deliver.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's a testament to taking baby steps. Don't, I think that's what stops a lot of people. They look at a big goal and they get overwhelmed by it. And it's like you have to take one bite at a time and get there slowly and build your confidence as you go. But you're not going to do that until you start and you just try with the little things first, right?
Yeah. And then the beginner's mind, I've lived in many countries, right? You show up in Brazil, you don't speak Portuguese, or you speak a little bit. You got to take um, like the bulls by the horns. It's okay to be a beginner. You don't speak Portuguese. It's okay. You just go there and you trial. You maybe you put a little bit of Spanish in there or French, or you mix it. That's a beginner's mind. I'm gonna try everything, right? How can I learn Portuguese? I want to listen to the Brazilian music. I want to put the newspaper on my desk every day and try to read this. Like, you do self propaganda, and that's a beginner's mind where you go to try everything, right?
Mhm.
When I started to think, okay, I'm going to be alone for 2 months, 3 months, and see, how do I train my mind to do this? I have no clue. So I'm going to be a beginner, and it's okay to be a beginner and to be awkward and not knowing, right? That's the beginner's mind,
Right.
where I'm going to try meditation. I'm going to try Zazen, this different kind of meditation. I'm going to do cold plunging. I'm going to do, I have a mental coach. I'm going to do yoga. Beginner's mind is being okay not to know and trying new things that could bring you that knowledge that would compile into making it so that you feel like you're okay, to do new
Yeah.
things. Hmm.
That's interesting. It's almost like cross training, like when people cross train if they're training for a marathon, but they go out and cross train they swim, they ride bikes, they do yoga, they do all these other things, and you can do the same thing for your mind with cross training. All the examples you just gave would help you when you're out at sea for 90 days by yourself, but it's also giving you extra confidence, extra tools, and things that you need to help you because you never know when you're going to need to pull one of those out of the bag, right?
Yeah, and it works for everything. Like
Hmm.
AI is coming. I need to learn AI. I don't know where to start. I'm going to be a beginner. I'm going to go ChatGPT. I want to sign up and ask ChatGPT, can you teach me this? I'm going to go to forums and learn. I go to YouTube and I'm just going to be a beginner. It's okay. I want to download an app about learning AI. Download an app that is AI. I'm going to go on Google and just, like, it could work for AI. It could work for cooking. It could work for photography. It could work for anything you want. For
Right.
podcast. I don't know how you learn about podcasts, but you're a pro already. I don't know.
Oh, I don't
You
know about that. I threw myself into it though. Sink or swim, apropos
exactly.
saying there.
Let's go.
Well, and you teed this up perfectly. You were talking about some of the sort of mental practices you did or trying out new things with yoga and meditation and stuff like that. Were there any spiritual practices or mental practices that really supported you heavily during those long crossings when you were out at sea for 70, 90 days by yourself?
Yeah, I got to the point being very spiritual. Uh, there's points where um, yeah, the connection with the ocean. Okay, so the connection with nature was always big with me. I've always tried to find the different vibes that you could get in different environments. Okay, let's say you walk in a redwood forest. Try to feel the vibes. It's very peaceful, right? It's calming because you're in a valley and those trees are amazing. They're majestuous, and then maybe there's like a cushion on the floor, and then you walk on that. It's like it's peaceful. Like, what's kind of energy you get when you walk in the desert? What kind of energy if you're by a river or by the ocean or in a mountain? You're climbing a mountain and then you're above everything and you see
Mhm.
like energies. So I've been trying to get connected to that,
Mhm.
and I started trying to find God or whatever we define by the oneness or the one, one source or everything. But I guess I found it. I found it in the ocean where I felt so connected with the ocean and the waves and the wind and the animals that came to see me that it got to be very spiritual. And I didn't know that's what I was going to learn, um, but I loved it. And then that's probably why I got to do the Atlantic after the Pacific. I felt very strong connection with the ocean and the oneness on the Pacific, and I wanted to feel that again. And I did it. I did also on the Atlantic.
So
Yeah.
when you say you got spiritual out there with seeing the animals and just the water itself and the vastness of it, what was it specifically? Did it make you reflect on your own life
Yeah.
and how you kind of see yourself at home with all the expectations when you're living your everyday life? You know, we've got a lot of demands, expectations, things like that. Did it somehow change your perception of all of that?
Yeah. So, okay, there's the fact of being alone, right? I was 3 months on this little kayak.
Mhm.
As big kayak, right? It's 23 feet long, but it's got a cabin and everything. It's big for a kayak, but it's small for a boat.
Mhm.
I didn't walk for 3 months. I didn't see land. Didn't see a human being. But with limited communication with land, you get after a month and a half being alone, just seeing the ocean 360 degrees, you get into that mode where there's decluttering of everything that is superficial that actually feeds our days, right? Could be social media, it could be emails and phones and calendar and timing and all this. Once you go on that adventure with nature, all this goes away, right? So you go back to that raw connection with survival in many ways, right? I'm going to be wet. I can't be wet. I got to be dry. You got to paddle, but you can't paddle too hard. You got to manage your physical, your mental, and your emotional states. Um, you could be so aware about what's going on, the strength of the waves and the direction of the waves and the strength of the wind and the frequency of the waves and the animals that are coming and all this. So you're so connected with all the elements that you just go in a different state. And then, and at some point, everything takes a different perspective. Like even time changes, the perception of time changes. The days go by very fast because you're just in the moment. The future doesn't matter because you're not there, so you only focus on the present. The past doesn't matter; it's bad back, right? And then you also embrace. But I felt your vulnerability
Mhm.
in many ways. One way to cope with all the stress of the strength of the ocean and how gnarly it can be, and unforgiving and the storms and big waves, is to be okay with being vulnerable. So all this together made me feel like I'm nothing. I'm just a little drop of water in this ocean and in this world, right? And there's one particular moment when I felt when the birds came to see me, it was kind of reassuring me, like, hey, we're alive, you're alive, we're checking on you. So the connection with life,
Mhm.
it could be, but it could be the fish that is following me for 3 days, just becomes completely different, right? So now let's say you're walking the street, you see a bird, you actually don't see the bird, you see the bird passing, right?
Mm.
It's different between hearing and listening. You hear it, but you don't listen, right? And I started to listen to nature and connect with nature in a completely different way, which made me feel like, okay, this bird is me because we're both in the middle of the ocean. We're both vulnerable, and this guy's surviving and is coming to check on me. I mean,
Yeah.
I could go on about different ways I connected with the ocean, and how wave meant so much more to me then than it is when you're by the shore and you just see the wave crash and it's, oh, that
Yeah.
wave is, you know.
That's a very interesting, well, 2 things that I found interesting. One is that you mentioned time starts to go by quicker. I would actually have thought it was the opposite. So, but it starts to speed up because you're so in the moment. So that's a good thing, I guess, when you have to be out there for 90 days. But also what you're describing about the animals, they probably, I mean, animals are very energetic beings, obviously. So they probably sense your energy and the shift in your energy too, somehow. And you become an animal along with them. You're just another
Yeah. I don't
friend
know.
in
Yeah.
nature to them, which is, a very different way of obviously looking at your own life and what you are in that moment versus when you're at home dealing with all the other stuff. So,
I look at them too.
mhm,
Suddenly, okay, here's how I explained that fish following me becoming more than just a fish. Imagine you're walking on the street and this dog come next to you, right? And he doesn't talk to you, you don't talk to it, but it just follows you around. So you walk down the street, it follows you. When you stop, he stops. And for 3 days, that dog's going to follow you. Well, that dog's going to be special to you. And that's going to be your
mhm,
dog. Somehow well, it's exactly what happened with that fish. That fish,
really?
it followed me and it was hiding behind me, and then I could see it go. There's a little piece of algae, and it would go and try to eat something and come back. And for
Wow.
that fish would just follow me. That
Oh
became
my
my
gosh.
fish, you know?
So cool. That's awesome. Did you name him?
Yeah, it was,
Did
but there's
you?
one black and blue, and there's another one, like, I would just give them color names, or,
Yeah, always
you
that's
know.
awesome. How did you tackle fear when you were out there? Because I'm sure there were some moments where you had some fear come up. How did it show up for you, and how did you find a way to surrender to it when you're out there by yourself?
Yeah. So that's where preparation comes, right? Well, you don't wanna be fearful. You don't wanna
Mhm,
have fear, but they will happen. So at the very beginning, you have to identify what are your fears. What do you think the fears will be? And then you approach them gradually towards the fact that you're not fearful anymore, right? So one way to explain it is remember the first time you drove your car, like you're 18 or 15, whatever. You're alone in the car, right? You go
mhm,
first gear, or you accelerate, and then you have to blink and pass this car, and it's stressful. So
mhm.
it's fear, right? But now, 20 years down the road, like you don't even think about it, right? So there's this automatization of your brain that if you do things so many times, you don't associate any stress to them, right? So by identifying what could be fearful for me, maybe the confinement of the cabin, maybe a wave that swamps my boat, and then I feel like I'm drunk. Whatever fear there are, you have to in your training get towards those so that they're not a stress anymore. Okay. So I did a lot of work. Now, there's things you can't train for. There's going to be fears. There are fears that are, um, they're good because they just give you an information and then you
Uh-huh.
act on it. But I think your ability to manage a fearful state is more important than the we're trying to remove the fear.
Mm,
Uh, Same, for instance, of you can't train for seasickness, but you'd have to know how to manage seasickness when it comes, or you can't
mhm.
train for deprivation, but once it comes, You have to know how to manage this, or negativity in your thoughts, or all these things. Like you have to know that they can happen, and when
Mhm.
they do, know how to react. Right.
Right. Well, and I remember you mentioning, having a team around you too, that you did a lot of solo expeditions, but you couldn't have done this on your own. You had a team on land, you had a team that helped you with training, with raising the funds, all these things. And I'm assuming who provided some pretty strong emotional support for you as well, both in the training phase and when you were out there. How did you utilize your team along the way? Were you in communication with them pretty regularly or?
Yeah, so I'm a jack of all trades, right?
Uh-huh.
But I'm not a pro of anything. So I in my team, I needed a weather router that would tell me the weather for the next 3 days every day. I needed an electrician to help me fix the electricity, or if the solar panels fails, or if the battery is not charging anymore. I needed that. I needed a trainer, like a physical trainer, the 2 years that. I needed a mental coach. I needed a social media manager. So I created a team around me of people that would help me for the whole project. And I needed this one person that very special. That is my land support. That is the one person that I'm in communication with every day, twice a day, by texting. It's a satellite text,
Mhm.
and I know everything about the boat. And he would be my point of contact for all the other people. Okay, let's say
Okay.
I could myself. Okay, I'm gonna tell him what happened, and he's gonna talk to the medical team and come back to me with an answer. I don't want to have to contact that person, the medical team directly, right? Because they don't know perspective. He can be on land and talk to them and say, "Oh yeah, for the last 15 days, here's what happened." I don't want to
Mhm.
repeat to the medical team everything that happened in the last 15 days, right? So yeah, he was my guru. His name is Dave. Without him, I wouldn't have been able to do it. And then there's the family, right? The support of the family, which is a tough one because they support you in a way that they want you to be successful,
Mhm.
but could be very hard for them to go through that emotionally. It could be really hard to cope with the fact that it could be dangerous for me, and it could
Mhm.
be in harm's way. Uh, yeah, it takes a lot of talks with all these members of your team. There's a close circle and a wider different layers of people that are involved, and I
Mhm.
think community is key. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, it's a testament to if you wanted whether it's something small or life and big in life, having a team around you, have people having a support system is really important. And I know a lot of people I've spoken to, especially after starting this podcast, it's clear that they need a little bit more of that. So it's good to, even going through everyday life, it's important. But speaking of fear and some things that could come up that are unexpected, back in 2021, you'd made your first attempt to cross the Pacific, and you were rescued after 6 days, and you had to make that call for yourself, right? You had to decide while you were out on the water that it was becoming too dangerous and you needed some help. So what happened in that moment? What kind of fear came up? What led you to that decision? And then how did it ultimately kind of reshape your relationship with failure, especially moving forward?
So what happened is 3 days after departure from the Golden Gate, I hit a storm, or a storm hit me.
Mhm. Yeah.
For 3 days, I was stuck in the cabin. And what happens, I put a sea anchor, which is a big parachute behind the boat, and that puts the boat perpendicular to the wave so I can just wait it out, right? I can't paddle when there's 35 knots of wind, gusting 40, 15 feet wave. So what I do is just wait it out. And it came to a point where I could manage the stress. And then the failure of my sea anchor, pushed me to saying, "Hey, I need to quit here. I need to call for rescue." It's been really 5 tough days. And it was the right decision. My decision was led by safety first, and that
Mhm.
was the key thing about my whole adventure. I'm going to go on an expedition that I know is gonna be dangerous, but safety is gonna be always first. So when things were going wrong, I decided to call the Coast Guards. They can pick me up. They left the boat on the water, and I had to pick it up 3 days later. And once I was back on land, that's when the assessment of what had happened became, a necessity. Where what
Mhm.
happened? Was I not ready? Was I not prepared? What could have been done better, et cetera, et cetera, where very fast, I believed, okay, there's something, I don't know what, that was not sufficient. Maybe
Mhm.
maybe my boat needed more practice. Maybe it needed more practice in stormy conditions. Maybe, there was failure of equipment I need to change. I needed to assess, but one thing was sure is that I still want to do it. The dream is still alive. And and I need to find a way to be better and to be more ready in a year from now.
Uh-huh.
And when the team comes in and say, okay, what happened? What do you think you could do? And and create a process where the actions that we decide to do for the year after that, every month, would enhance my ability to be successful in the next attempt. So yeah, one thing that I did is actually came from this book. A friend of mine said, Cyril, maybe you could take inspiration from this and that book. They said it was a question that they were helping triage every action that they would do, and that question was: Is this that you want to do going to increase the chance of success on your next attempt? Right, to get your increase the chance of success to get to Hawaii. So I would filter all the action that I was going to do, and maybe
Uh-huh.
the thing I had done the past 2 years, right? And for instance, okay, I wanted to have eyeballs, and I contacted all the press so they could come and see me take off. And then, I need eyeballs on my social medias, and I had sponsors. This is actually not increasing the chance of me crossing to Hawaii, spending more preparing mental, maybe more time being wet and cold, maybe more time diving in the boat to and disentangle some line, maybe survival. I'd say all these would increase my chance of success. So
Uh-huh.
then by using this simple question, is this I want to do going to increase the chance of success? Then, okay, I will decide what kind of food I would eat, how much I would sleep, what I would do in the weekend. Everything would be filtered through that one sentence. And that helped me a lot.
Yeah, great way to whittle down your priorities. You've got a big list, you want to do all these things, but you've got to really focus on the most important actions. I could see how that could be helpful. I might steal that one from you if that's okay.
Oh,
For the next time
it's
I
not.
cross an ocean. Also, a little bit ago, you talked about kind of the spiritual connection that you had out on the ocean and some of the things that came to light when all the shedding happened, when all the everyday life stuff sort of melted away and you were really focused on what's in front of you. Time disappeared. You were one with, the ocean and the animals and everything else. How do you, though, return to normal life after such a big moment? And I mean,
Um,
and for a long
yeah.
period of time, how do you return to normal life and salvage some of that and bring that back to your daily life?
Mhm. Well, it could be an issue. It's a known symptom of people that finish an expedition and come back to life could be hard, right? I
Mhm.
think it's expedition stress syndrome. It's kind of like a blues where you
Mhm.
were in an adventurous life and you come back to normality. You have to go back to work and you have to go back to mundane. And then, okay, what are we watching for Netflix? So it feels like shallow, right? In many
Yeah.
ways.
Mhm.
But for me, somehow it lasted maybe a week or two. And then um, I really considered these expeditions as a project, and the real life is the real life. Those projects are projects, right? So I go, I conclude them, and then when they're done, there might be another one later, but this one is done and the page is turned, right? It's not easy for everybody. I guess everybody's different and the way their emotions work. For me, I also identified that part of the pain to come back to real life was um, to feel like it's hard to convey what I had lived with the people that wanted to know about it, right?
Mhm.
It's so intense, so spiritual. Uh, it's like philosophical way of seeing life, and so emotional. And then you try to say it to explain to people, and you kind of realize that they'll never get it. Like
Yeah.
there's no way unless you've climbed a mountain and crossed a river, like or a desert, and unless you've had that feeling in some way that I can feel you can understand. I
Mhm.
think, and it's okay understanding that I don't have to make them feel exactly what I felt, but maybe if they have a hint of what it is, and maybe that hint will make them search for their own way to feel the same feeling.
Mhm.
Is I decided to go with that.
Yeah, there's really I totally get it. There's no way you can adequately make someone understand who hasn't been through something similar. And it's not your job to either. It's your job to take what you can with you. But also, are there parts of it, though, that you can just integrate into your daily life, maybe to make it a little less mundane or a little less painful to get back, to the routine? We're all unfortunately have to succumb to that at some level. We all have to provide for our families and work and sometimes do things that we don't want to do. But was there any of it that shifted you a bit and made that a little bit easier and to deal with the day-to-day life or keep life more exciting in some way?
Yeah, I think I'll have inherently the need for feeling free or adventurous in my life. So I guess I try to have it in the weekends, or maybe I can just go travel and do that. But to the intensity that I've lived, it's hard to have. Now there's many teachable moments that I carry with me. When I finished Hawaii, to get to Hawaii was 91 days, and get to Martinique 71 days. And both times you go in a moment where all the simple pleasures are enhanced. Because for 2 months and a half, I didn't have a bed that didn't move, right? My
Unbelievable.
sleeping bed was wet. um, didn't have a shower, didn't have a toilet, didn't have warm food or cold food. I was constantly like salty, right? So all these
Oh my
discomfort
gosh. Yeah.
were erased from one moment to the other, and then all the simple pleasures of regular life, like hugging someone you love, or taking a warm shower, a dry bed, or having coffee in the morning, and nothing that moves, no stress of having to do something, just peace. So all these things, the simple pleasures, and the fact that I know how to enjoy them, uh, just is very enhanced the first days when you go back to land. And I just keep that. I just remember that this is a simple pleasure, but it's amazing. You look at this butterfly just coming by and stop on your finger, like, that's magical, right?
Right. Take the time to enjoy that cup of coffee slowly, to have a conversation with a loved one, like, really be more in the moment at each time as much as you can. Yeah, that makes sense. Do you have any spiritual practices that you do at home just on a regular basis? Like, you mentioned meditation, and I don't know if you do journaling or prayer or, yoga, any of those things?
Yeah, I do a little bit of meditation when I feel like it. But 10, 15 minutes just sitting down, and I like to see the sun come up. Right now in winter, it's kind of nice. You get up, it's dark, and all comes. I'll be a cup of coffee, but I'm not trying to meditate. I'm trying just to sit down and look at life.
Mm,
Um, uh, but I think what I understood in my crossing was that there's stress or unhappiness or negativity that comes with trying to be in a place where you don't want to be. And it could be during the same day. Oh, I wish I want to be tonight because I'm going to have dinner with my friend. Or I want to be. So I'm really trying just to be in the moment. It
mhm,
sounds very basic. It's what you can read in every book that says just be in the moment. You're cutting an apple, you're cutting the apple.
mhm.
You're sup coffee, and I'm trying to be that because that's how I felt. There's nothing else to do for me than being in the moment when I crossed, and that's what something I try to um, carry in my daily practice or
Yeah,
life, I guess.
daily life.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. One of my, I call her my spiritual guru. She was a life coach for me for a while and kind of helped me get out of this. Not kind of, she did help me get out of the slump I was in. And we've talked about, she was actually one of my podcast guests, and we talked about how people who aren't really attracted to the idea of meditation. It's like you don't have to actually sit down and meditate on a yoga mat and with a salt lamp lit. You can actually just be in a meditative state by focusing on what you're doing and being really intentional about being present. And that in and of itself is a form of meditation. So I think that's an important one to carry forward. It sounds simple, but it's really important because most people don't do it. Most people's minds are elsewhere all the time, you know.
And then I guess meditation is about that awareness of trying to be in the moment and
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
you're coming. Obviously, we're thinking of whether something's going to happen tomorrow or the week after, and the plans for vacation. But if that brings a dissatisfaction of I don't want to be here, I want to be on vacation. Okay, that's negative. How
Mhm.
how do you change that?
Mhm.
Okay, I'm here now. It's gonna come. I'm gonna be happy when it comes. But right now, I'm just trying to be in the moment.
Right. Kind of a reframing. You've pursued some dreams that most people would never even dare attempt, right? They're huge, and eh, gosh, I mean, it's just so inspiring. But I really want to know about the inner motivation that kind of got you there. So, like, what that inner intuition that you listened to that just kept telling you that you're on the right path and to keep going. And sometimes you can have that, and you can see it, you can feel it, and it keeps you going. And then all of a sudden, negative Nancy comes in, or whatever you want to call the dark side of yourself, where you start self doubt, criticizing yourself, things like that. Did you have some of those moments where you had to really kind of pull yourself back and keep yourself motivated, tap into that intuition on a regular basis?
Um, yeah, of course. But I think I've got this personality where I mean, I'm going back to the excitement of looking for vibration. I'm a
Mhm,
type 7 Enneagram. I'm the
mhm,
enthusiast.
okay. Mhm,
Everything. it's exciting to me. And I'm going for what's exciting. When I moved to Brazil is because I wanted to play soccer and learn Portuguese, and I love the food and the music of Brazil. I'm going there. You know, I don't really think too much. In fact, it could be at long term, maybe it's detrimental to live the way I do, but it's just the way I work. Everybody's different, right? Everybody's got a different personality. I guess be you, um, and see what works for you. For me, I don't tend to overthink. If it makes me happy, I get up early, excited, and I want to create a spreadsheet at 4 o'clock in the morning, thinking about what I could do. Like I want to do this. I just want to do it. Now, obviously, I got to train for the next 2 years to be ready. There's moments where I'm not going to be motivated. It's raining outside. I want to do this. Okay, how do you change your mind? Read a book about changing your mind, and it's not motivation, it's discipline. All these things you see, right? That can help you, like manage your ups and downs.
Mhm.
But I guess, there's something that was interesting that my coach gave me. He says, Cyril, at the very beginning, okay, why do you want to do this? I don't know. I just feel like I want to do it. Okay, well, okay, let's not try to find the why. How about, how do you want to, tell me how you're going to feel once you get to Hawaii. Okay,
Mm,
write down paper, but very detailed. Okay, what's the joy? Where is the joy going to be feeling? Like, is it in your chest? Are you going to be crying? Is it going to be like feeling alive? What is this? Write this down.
mhm.
And then gotta go back to that page every time, every day when you feel like, "Oh, I don't know if I want to do this. And like, it's a lot of money. Should I do this? Like, I'm going to quit my job for this. No, I don't know." Go back to that page that made where you took time to, okay, you want to do this to feel alive. You got to
Right.
feel as like do this. Like, okay, let's go. And it's kind of like your why, right?
Right. That's a
That
great
works.
yeah, that's a
Mhm.
great way to shift your perspective in a moment if you're feeling down, and I'm gonna steal that one from you too, because I've had a lot of self-doubt on my own, some of the things that I'm doing now, and but I'm gonna keep going. I'm kind of like you where I'm very enthusiastic. I just am energetic. There's not a lot that will stop me, but I do have the inner critic come sometimes, and I need to remind myself of why I'm doing this, and the quest for freedom, the quest for feeling vitality when I'm older, and feeling excited by life. So that's great. And I heard you're working on a book now and a documentary. Is that right?
Yeah, well, I filmed everything for the Pacific and the Atlantic, and we've got the footage. We're trying to do something for the Pacific right now.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I'm writing a book, and that's very hard. It's so tough,
I'm a novice writer myself. Yes, it's definitely difficult.
but I guess I've got this goal of trying to share the things that I've learned, and also what I felt as a human, and the human experience of meeting that spirituality, and there's something I want to achieve is sharing. There's 5 points of every expedition of mine. One is daring myself to do it, doing it. Uh, One is learning, and then there's sharing and inspiring. So I guess the sharing part is being here on your podcast, and then the fifth one, maybe somebody's going to be inspired and do something on their own. That would be the end of my project. So the book is part of that. A TED Talk is part of that. Um, well, I became a motivational speaker too because people wanted to hear the story, and then I started to be good, I guess, on in expressing my envy, my own um, ideas of what it is to live life to the fullest,
Hmm.
and go for the best dream you can imagine. And naturally, I'm a regular guy, right? So I'm saying I'm a regular guy like you are. Like, I'm going after my dreams. Why are you not?
Hmm.
So I started to talk to corporation and companies about this, and you see, it just came naturally. If you told me like 5 years ago you're going to be a motivational speaker for Google, I would not have believed you. But
Right.
just by letting that energy builds on you, and it just transpires through your pores into what you're saying, and it's easy in the end, and it's just going to happen. So who knows what you're going to do? I can't wait to see you what you're going to
Well,
become
I will
with that.
come back and thank you for your inspiration too, because I talk about a team. I mean, there's a lot of people who have touched my life along the way, and I do believe that you can absorb things from people around you. So that's very cool. And I'm going to put a good word in for you at my corporation too, because I'm still in corporate, and we have motivational speakers every year come into our national sales meeting, and some of them are kind of snoozy, I'll be honest, and then some of them you really feel it, and the ones that really left me with, feeling their emotion as they're talking. I still remember to this day, 15, 16, 17 years later. So I think you'd be one of those guys. So, um,
Good.
and just what's next on your do you have any, like, upcoming adventures or things that you're already planning on doing outside of the book and the documentary? I mean, I don't know how you make time for all of this, but any big
No,
adventures coming?
many things changed in the last 8 months. Some were tough. Actually, my partner, who was with me for 9 years, through my crossings, it was too much for her. So I had to adapt to being single, and I said, okay, what do I want to do? So I did some therapy of my own with a psychologist to try to figure that out. And I'm just reinventing myself. I'm 50, the same, and I'm using the tools that I've created through those crossings, through those fact that I know that I need to chase my dream and just rebuild myself. It's been tough, but I got a new job, so I'm going to be traveling a lot in South America, being super adventurous, and this startup that makes me feel alive. People are smart and driven. I love this. And I became a nomad, so I have no home right now.
Wow.
I sold my car. Right now I'm in France, actually, for the Christmas holidays, and I'm going to Canada for 2 weeks, and I'm going to be deployed in Brazil for a month. And then after that, I don't know. I'm going to go in Argentina for something like, yeah, I'm
Wow.
embracing freedom, adventure to the max, and maybe I'll change again in 2 years. I don't know, but I guess my point is, I don't know what the future is going to be. I know I've got this capacity that is going to be adapting to new things, and uncertainties are okay, right? It's just you response to those uncertainties that kind of be making your life. So I feel young, I feel happy, I feel energetic. I've got dreams of maybe doing another documentary about my preparation for maybe a potential other crossing.
Oh my
And
goodness.
let's go, limitless, limitless.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love the fact that you are so self-aware though that in between all your adventures and then you're getting a new job and you don't really have a permanent home at the moment that you know that you need to uh, get therapy when you need it. You worked with a mental coach or did you say a mindset coach during when you were training for the adventures?
Yeah, mental coach. Yeah,
Yep. Just that you're using resources to make sure that you're mentally sharp and that you're not leaving any stone unturned, that you're not just bypassing, hard emotions that you may be dealing with like your with the split up of your partner and other things that there are a lot of people who would just breeze right by that and think I'm okay and then just get into the next thing, but you're really taking the time to work on yourself throughout and keep yourself mentally healthy and emotionally healthy, so that's great.
I think one of the things you need to be able to do is agree that you need help. So many people uh, need that, and I needed help at the time. I could think like I'm a girl. I lived 3 months alone at sea. I'm tough. I'm human. I'm like emotions are tough to deal with. I had to go through the 5 steps of grief. The first one, the second one, third one. You come back to the first one. All
Mhm.
this, and it's gonna be the same when somebody dies, and when I'm gonna lose my job, and then shit happened. That's life.
Mhm.
And it happens to everybody. And I guess if you feel like you can do it on your own, go be a champion. Perfect. But if you feel like you need some help, it helps you and you recover faster. Sure, do that. Beginner's mind. Again,
Yep.
I'm gonna try everything I can to go through life.
Right. Well, luckily there's less stigma around that stuff now too. People talk about that stuff all the time, which I love. I'm a big proponent of coaching and therapy and all that kind of stuff, or just getting support from friends and family or whoever can best support you. So for anyone listening out there who's feeling a dream that's pulling at them, that's just tugging at their heart, but they're scared, they're stuck, they're doubting themselves, what's the one piece of advice you would give them?
Start.
Just
Start
get
now. You'll
started.
figure it out after. Figure it along the way.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't perfect. Just do it. Like you want to do guitar, play guitar now. You want to sing, you want to paint, you want to do a triathlon, you want to live overseas, you want to learn whatever. Jiu-jitsu, do it. Like what's stopping you? Yourself? Okay, stop stopping yourself. Start.
Yeah. It's a great piece of advice. I'm gonna take it too. I think a lot of us get, sometimes we get stuck in the obligations too, and I say, that word almost has a negative connotation, but for me, I've got 2 kids. I have boys that are 14 and 16, they're in high school now. I always feel so uh, like I have to be here for everything. But I'm at the point where they're old enough to like if they go see their mom do something really cool, that's going to influence them. That's another piece of this with your family. I think I want to be a positive influence to other people, including my children, and that's a great way to do it. Is just start something, be bold, follow your energy and your inspiration, and go for it. Right.
100%.
So, where can people find you? And are you doing any work with people individually? I know you said you're doing motivational speaking, but
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
else that you?
I mean, I don't have any training other than my intuition of sitting down and say, okay, what's the roadblocks that you have for
Uh-huh.
that for reaching your dream? What are the things you've tried? Why do you want to do this? And all this, it's just conversation. And I think with human, I'm doing that. But yeah, I guess, a lot of people need that energy, and I'm happy to give it. People can find me. You put crazy Frenchman crossing an ocean in a kayak, you'll find me. I mean, AI is
Well, I'm gonna put you all over I'll put stuff on the show notes, but I didn't know if you had a preferred way that people reach out to you and
yeah,
if
I
there's
guess.
something you're doing from kind of a business perspective individually with people.
Yeah, if you spell my name, Cyril Derreumaux, you'll find me. But yeah, I guess. In fact, it's funny. Okay, so on the Pacific, I started to be so spiritual. I wrote blog every day about
Mhm.
love, eternity, about things like that. There's this one guy who called me the kayaking monk, and I
Ah,
thought it was cool. If you actually, I bought the URL, the kayaking monk. So if you put the kayaking monk, you'll find me.
oh, how funny. That's a great little tagline. I like it. That's awesome. Well, thank you, Cyril, for your time. This was awesome. Like I said from the very beginning, I was already inspired by you, and I knew I would be even more so after this conversation. So thanks for giving us your time, your energy, and I can't wait to see what you're doing next. I will be following you and rooting for you along the way. So
Love it. And then I wish you the best for your podcast, for everything, every endeavor you have.
thank you. I appreciate it. All right. Have a great one. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of My Soul Connection. If you found the information useful, be sure to rate and review the episode and share it with others as well. And make sure you subscribe to the My Soul Connection podcast so you'll never miss an update. Until next time, keep connecting with your soul.